What is up? I'm Jared Welch, and Ultimate. It is Thursday, August 3rd, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
Woo, woo. Yes, we're in the same room, so that's weird, but okay, we're here. No, it's good. It's good. I'm doing great, man. We've had quite a day. We've had a lot of fun today, and more fun to come. But now it's work time. You know, we had to cut our afternoon a little early because we had a lot of work to do, working through it, and ready to do Blinkers Off. Should be a really interesting show. We've got a lot to talk about today.
It's been a day, you know. I flew in last night to Burlington. You guys took me to Plattsburgh. That's where we're at right now. First time I've ever been to Plattsburgh. We went to well, first of all, the North Country, right? That's what everyone keeps telling me. Welcome to the North Country. That's what you said as soon as I landed.
The true North Country.
We went to Lake Placid today. I'm a huge, obviously, Miracle on Ice and hockey and just the nostalgia and what happened there. So we got to go there, and Halterman and I, and Heather and her sister we kind of went around and went and saw some of the ski jump. Holy shit, the ski jump! Because obviously they had the Olympics here in the 80s, 1980, and they had the ski jump, and it was like we went out. By the way, if you know anyone that like the ski jump is absolutely insane. To see that in person, I think there's people that we went to do that. We went and saw the bobsled.
Yep.
So it was kind of like a little touristy day at first, and then we came back and I got, what was it? I had
Michigan.
I had a Michigan for dinner.
Yep.
That was good. And so finally we're back to horse racing, talking Whitney, and we're ready to go to Saratoga tomorrow and get soaked. But for the Hall of Fame day, and then of course we'll be there for the Whitney as well. So I'm kind of getting the full North Country. I've been to Saratoga a million times, but I never ventured up this way. So it's been fun.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely for sure. And, Kevin B mentions Burlington. That's where you flew in, like you said. It's there's a lot of things to do up here. People don't really realize it. I certainly never did. Of course, I met Heather and married her a year later, and it's been 16 years, and I still get to come up here, so that's good. And but yeah. So yeah, Lake Placid overall, what was your? I've always talked about it on the show. I've talked about it with you. What was your overall take? Is it a 10 out of 10, an 8 out of 10?
Well, okay. So first, a couple things. Shotty, one, when we literally, so you're in Arkansas. Obviously, it's very, very hot in the Midwest. When I left, it was like 100 degrees, legit 100.
Yep.
Today, when we pulled to Lake Placid, it was 60, 58?
58.
58. 50 is 40 degrees cooler. It got a little warm, but still, it's freaking fantastic here. And yes, Jason, to answer Halterman's question and to answer yours, the hockey rink, of course. If you don't care about sports or hockey or that kind of stuff, then it is just a hockey rink. Like, you don't really give a shit. But for me and for you and people like us, that it's just like, I said, can we go down there? So he's like, yeah. So we just walked down. I'm like, got my hands on the glass. I even pull out my phone and we're like watching. I was like, which side was the goal scored on? And like you take your. I would love to watch the actual video footage of the game sitting in the stadium. Because it's just it's the greatest sporting event of all time. Yeah. And it happened right there. And then the fact that it was they held an Olympics in this town it's like smaller than my hometown, and it's just like. It's wild, but it was easily, you've hyped it up, and I'd say it, just because I am such a fan of that, it definitely, I wasn't disappointed at all.
Yeah, you definitely have to go to it once if you are a fan of sports, because it literally the greatest sporting event in this country's history did happen there, and it's not even really a debate. It is the greatest moment in sports history here, and it's the biggest upset in sports history. Don't believe me, just research it. It's incredible what happened if you're not aware of it. So, but anyway, yeah, it's a great town. It is a cool little tourist trap town. All right, Jesse, I was hoping you're going to be there.
You know where to find us.
Yes, I know. It's going to be fun seeing everybody. Didn't get to see very many people last week because of the rain, but tomorrow maybe bad end, but Saturday looks good. But anyway, it's a great town, and glad you got to see it. But now it's all business, right?
Hopefully everyone can hear us, by the way, because we're amateur hour over here, and both of us were like, oh, we had our mics set out and we forgot them, and so here we are. But no, you talked about last week. We got obviously a huge weekend. You and your dad just did do Tibet, and you gave a brief preview of the Whitney, but obviously we got more coming up here. We'll go over the whole week. top to bottom. We'll talk about all the great takes on the card on Saturday as well. So if you have questions, if you have other races you want us to kind of talk about, make sure you hit them up in the chat here. But you talked about last week. You were there live. Obviously, we all watched it that weren't there. And let's talk, by the way, okay, let's start off with Elite Power versus Gnight. I mean, it lived up to the billing. It looked like the track had started to get kind of weird and bad at that point. And Elite Power looked like he didn't really love the track. Looked like the day was not going to be his day. Gnight was going to steal this thing, someone on the front end. And boy, when he set him down and got him in his sights, it was on, and you just knew he was going to get there. Elite Power, Bill Mott's 1-2 punch here. Elite Power is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome, and as a guy who singled Elite Power, I was pretty darn scared for most of that race. But finally, the last, I don't know, 100 yards, man, he really got up there and did just set his sights on Gunite and was able to run him down. It was really fantastic to watch that one in person. And he was looking at the stands a lot of the race, and then finally got up there and was able to catch him. Gunite's got this, he's going to win one of these, I think, eventually. I don't know how he beats Elite Power, though, unless he gets stopped in traffic or something like that, because I'm with you. I thought Gunite got the jump on him. I thought Gunite, the pace dynamics was in favor of him.
It's set up, yeah.
I don't think Elite Power loved the track. I think Gunite did, and he still got him. And that is a world-class sprinter right now, and he's one of the better ones we've seen in the last few years, man. He really, when he gets that motor going, I don't know that you can hold him off.
Yeah, it's just he just feels like a horse that is well, gosh, he's won how many of that in a row now?
Bunch, yeah.
7,
I don't know how many. That's 8.
I think it's 8.
Yeah,
and just once they figured him out, or he figured it out, whatever, it's just he just finds a way to win. And I knew, we knew, and at least we thought going in, it's like, okay, he is a better horse than Gnight. I'm pretty positive of that. It's just a matter of the way the setup of this race, and it looked like, someone that had a big bet on Elite Power. I was like, oh no, like you could tell he didn't like the track, or was struggling with the track a little bit, and just the way it kind of felt like Gnight might get out of this thing and just kind of steal it, and boy, he just came coming. So unbelievable performance. Obviously, you got to think Breeders' Cup, legit Breeders' Cup horse once again. Yeah. Yep. But the main event of the day, and really what everyone's still talking about here, is the Jim Dandy, and of course Forte won the race after a inquiry. We looked at it a little while, but what did you think of the race? You were there live. Watching it on TV, it seemed like he probably should have been taken down. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. I'm sure most of you have. But Saudi Crown looked like he was going to win this thing. But to be clear, like, I don't think there's a question that Forte was the best horse in the race. I tried to beat him with Saudi Crown. Thought 7-2. What he went off at was too good of a price, and I almost got paid. But you watch that race, it's like, yeah, he was like much the best, but he's still, by the letter of the law in horse racing, I feel like he should have came down. Yeah,
you think of all the bumping and all the weirdness that happened. It also took a little bit out of Forte. Now, he caused it. I'm not saying, feel bad for him, but still, he didn't run just a real smooth race, because he was trying to fight with Angel of Empire, then trying to fight with Saudi Crown. Look, I thought Forte was the best horse. I also think he should have been taken down. That's the way I look at it. And this is coming from a person, by the way, whose whole day was turned around by a 2-4 straight exacta. So I was sweating it big time that he would get taken down. I really do believe, though, he was the better horse in the race. But look, you can't bully out and make your own spot on the turn. So I thought that was foul number 1. Yes, Saudi Crown did come out a lot after that. And so some of that bumping could have been caused by Saudi Crown a bit as well after the initial one. And then he kind of gave Saudi Crown the ever so slightest hip check right at the wire. And he may look at that back and go, well, that's not that big a deal. But when you're separated by about that much, that could have been a big deal. And I don't know how you could say without any definitive doubt that it wasn't a difference, because that was the thing. When you're talking about margins this tight, little things can make a big difference when you're talking about margins that tight. So, yeah, a lot of stuff there. Obviously, I'm sorry if you bet you didn't have Forte or you maybe had him in second. I'm sorry because I kind of a heartbreaker. You probably deserved it, but I'm glad you didn't win at the same time because I had it at 2-4. But yeah, it was crazy. I'm going to tell you something right now. There were so many Rapoli people in that winner's circle. And I was sitting next to Ricky, and I looked at him and I said, if they take him down, this is going to be incredible what these people do. I felt like it was going to be a mutiny. I really did. I felt like there was going to be a lot of – there were like distinguished people, like Rick Pitino was in the winner's circle waiting to get his picture taken, right? So
Rapoli called up and said, "You're not taking us down."
I do kind of feel like they had to have thought about that. So,
yeah.
And the other thing that I thought was the fishiest thing, okay, whether they take him down or not, there are two sides of a debate, right? And I'm on one side of he should have been, but maybe you're not. The weirdest thing, it felt like it took half a second. Like they really didn't look at it that long. It felt like a minute or two, and then boom.
And you really weren't sure what they were looking at either. Like, are they looking at the late part of that race? Are they looking at the turn? By the way, I thought that the most evident thing for me was that it could have cost Angel of Empire because he kept coming. It wasn't like once, because he would have backed off or whatever after he kind of bullied himself out and then backed off and finished like a distant third or fourth. Well, we know how that goes. Like, yeah, that sucks that happened, but he wasn't close. But he was right there. He was still battling. And anytime you have a close finish, plus on top of the bump, it was one of those things that it's tough because I'm not going to sit there and argue. Like Forte was the key in a normal, like if he gets in the clear and he's just like he's going to win that race.
Pretend he's an Angel of Empire spot.
He'll win.
He probably wins, and there's not a whole lot of controversy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, like.
But he wasn't.
What happened was what happens a lot to IRAD, or what IRAD does, as far as them boxing them in originally, like that's race riding, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could go watch any day at Belmont. You're probably going to see that happen, or Aqueduct, or up here on a Wednesday. It's a claimer. It might happen. Yeah, it happens a lot, and I do feel bad, for people that feel like they should have cashed because he probably should have, but. Hopefully you get one your way.
Well, that's what made it so odd is it was like you would see people or talk to people or see on Twitter or whatever where it's like maybe they bet Saudi Crown, obviously, and someone like me, yeah, I should have cashed that. Or if you bet Angel Empire, I should have cashed that, Or if you bet Forte, I'm glad I cashed that,
Yeah,
So,
no, I think the ones that had it was like I talked to one guy after the race who did the same thing as me. He said I was having a shitty day. I bet a 2-4 exacta. Yeah, it was paying like a $7.70 for $1. He's like I listened to you guys and I was just like, look, I'll just try to get it back here. I'm going to push it in. And he's like, kind of feel like I stole it, but kind of don't care. It's like, well, I get it. I felt the same way. But yeah, I felt like I saw the head on a couple times. I'm like, this is bad. This is not good. This is not going to go good. And then all of a sudden they said no change. And it's just like, okay, we're on to the next race. It's like,
I was like, you go cash the ticket as fast as you can.
No, I literally told Heather and Ricky, I said, let's get out of here now before they change their mind. We'll go to the horseshoe now. Forget about these last two races. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
That's how you felt.
Well, sounds like we will see a rematch with Angel of Empire and Forte in the Travers, of course, along with the list of others. But it does sound like Saudi Crown is going to wait and to the Pennsylvania Derby. So they made that move real quick to say we're not going to the Travers in 4 weeks.
Or not. You might be back there.
Got hotel internet here.
It's not great.
But no, he's ran 2 good races. Got beat by Fort Bragg, who ran a fantastic race. And then he got beat, of course, by Forte. So it's like you don't love the fact that they're going to just bench him basically until the Pennsylvania Derby. Yeah. But you got to think he's going to break through eventually one of these.
Yep.
Just has to avoid. And maybe he's a monster, but obviously he's very lightly raced still. So that's the weekend recap. But we got bigger fish to fry today. This weekend at Saratoga. It's nice. Little, I got you. We got what was it called I had tonight? Michigan's to turn over. I don't know. We got Whitney. Saratoga, we'll be there live. We're going to preview Saturday's $1 million Whitney Stakes at Saratoga Breeders' Cup winning are in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And then we're going to give rapid fire selections for all the remaining graded stakes races Saturday at Saratoga, including the $600,000 Saratoga Derby. Let's go.
It's interesting that your connection is not working that great and mine seems to be okay. And we're using the same internet
side by side.
So that is strange. But like you have like one dot and I'm okay. So if you go away, I will carry us to the promised land.
Just make sure you unmute yours if you do, because then they can't hear you.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, can we just
so I guess I am probably like no, I don't.
On the Whitney today, we got
this. No.
You gotta love it. We're a legit organization. It's amateur hour here, though.
We may want to actually change to one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
It's all right.
Okay.
It's all right. It's all the adult films on. Well,
yeah.
I use the other laptop for that, Kevin. You know how it goes.
I've never seen that one.
Hey, by the way, Shoddy, I mean, we're not going to give you all this attention or all the time. Shouldn't say the attention, but the government has said aliens are.
I don't believe them.
You saw that, right?
Don't believe them.
Just saying.
Don't believe them.
Trackside Grill? No.
Trackside Grill for breakfast Saturday. Good, maybe.
That's possible.
Probably won't get there in time, to be fair.
We gotta go. You go to the horse. If you don't see us, go to the Horseshoe after.
Yes.
We'll be there.
Yes.
Just look for the banners. Like our banners we have hanging up there. It's like just go find those, and likely we're like taking selfies somewhere underneath it, like douchebags. That'll be us.
You can say even if we aren't there, you can still see us.
Well, boom.
Yeah.
That's clever. Again, I've seen a question about this. You want to talk about the Saratoga Oaks while I'm getting this queued up for tomorrow? Any thoughts on it? I know we've had a guy asking 20 times about Xera, however you say it.
Yeah, I think that horse will be tough.
Thoughts on the Saratoga Oaks tomorrow. Now, again, tomorrow's tough. It's like you handicap the whole card, and you don't know when if you got you're going to take the turf. You got the Saratoga Oaks and the Hall of Fame. When's it going to, it definitely looks like it's going to rain. Of course, you never know, but what are they going to do with that? How's that going to impact the other races? So it's tough to say how, wait till the scratches, but how do you approach something like that? Are you handicapping it assuming it's going to rain? I know you hate doing that, but we're a day away here.
You just wait for the scratches and wait for the update and re-handicap it if it changes. I don't have any secret sauce for you guys there. That's just how it is. Yeah, listen, I like, if you talk about Saratoga Oaks, I do like the horse, the 4 Zagera. I don't know how you say that horse in the Oaks tomorrow that's been talked about. I like the 3 Elusive Princess a lot too. So we'll see what happens there. I do like the 3 quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if someone, I'd love for somebody to tell. I mean, Magic could probably tell us what the actual pronunciation of that is. I've never known. Not to say Xera. The X Factor.
Yeah. It's gonna be. Look, it's gonna be. Most likely, it's gonna be rainy tomorrow, but you can't worry about it until it gets here.
Well done. Thanks. Is that your weather report for today?
Yep.
All right, Saturday though, it does look like it's going to be clear and sunny for the most part on Saturday. Fingers crossed. Race 10, Saratoga Whitney Stakes, Grade 1, $1 million. Again, it is a Breeders' Cup winner in for Longines Classic. This November at Santa Anita. It's worth $1 million for 4-year-olds and up, going 1 1/8 miles. Field of 6 lines up here, and unfortunately, West Willpower had an injury. Training is okay, but it is retired. So a horse that would have been in this race, kind of would have been like the next best thing if it gets to Cody's Wish. He's out. So now you're down to a field of 6 here, 1-2 on Cody's Wish. Listen, I mean, it's not rocket science here. There's not a lot. I mean, one, he's going a distance he hasn't tried yet, but he's also facing horses like Zandon and Charge It and White Abario that are his main competitors here. It certainly is. When I looked at this race, the field, it's like, well, that's a hell of a race to try going long for the first time.
Look. Yeah, he's the best horse by a country mile in this race, right? And If you think he's going to get the distance, single him and move on. If you don't think he's going to get the distance, then you're going to have a 5-horse race to handicap, and it gets a lot trickier if you don't believe in him. I don't really think he has to be that good to win. I really don't. I think if he could stretch out, be adequate stretching out, I mean, he's going to have to run decent for sure. He can't just stop. But if he just comes with the same similar-ish run that he's done at a mile, I don't really see how this is really going to be competitive. I don't believe in White Barrio. Giant Game and Last Samurai, not so much. Zandon to win a race is a sketchy situation, I would say, at best. Maybe Chargett's grown up a bit after that win. Maybe they're going to try to just wing it on the front end, gate to wire. I still don't think he holds off Cody's Wish. I don't think there's much here. I think Cody's Wish gets it done. I don't think it's going to be too much of a challenge for him, to be completely honest.
I still think the only horse that can win that's not Cody's Wish, and I don't even like him, is Charge It. Just because it's like, I feel like even though we kind of know him, it's like he still shows signs of being, maybe he's good, maybe he's not. Maybe, we don't know exactly what he is. He looked terrible in the Met Mile, and he looked great in the Suburban. He looked terrible in the Oaklawn handicap, but he looked okay in an allowance race when he came back. It's just like, what is he? He's certainly, obviously, he's trained by Todd Pletcher, to keep sending them in these kind of races. So, to me, if he is going to get beat, Charge It would probably be the one. Maybe he gets on the front end or something and try. It's kind of, Cody's Wish can't get the mile and eighth, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's really what it will come down to.
Yep.
It's not a matter of like, hey, Charge It can beat him or Zandon can beat him or whatever. It's Cody's Wish can't get the mile and eighth. That's really all it comes down to. Because if he can get anywhere near the mile and eighth, he's going to dust him. Yep. He's just a better horse than everyone in this race. And
he's kind of proved that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, like, there for a while, like last year, you would never have thought, hey, let's try him. He needs to go like the mile and eighth. He needs to go longer. But now, like, since the Breeders' Cup this year, especially, it's almost like they've had this in mind all along, like saying, okay, now we're going to start letting, like, this is our last year. This is our swan song. We're going to make this thing go. And he's just dusting horses. Obviously, he's 5 years old now. He's a Curlin. Seems like he continues to get better.
Yeah.
And he's shown, like, there's zero signs when you watch these races, 7 furlongs a mile, that like, hey, mile and eighth is going to be too far for him.
Yep.
Listen, and to just kind of visualize a little bit of how different of a horse he is. The last time he tried mile and eighth, the second time out, which it makes sense how he's bred, right?
Mm-hmm.
He tried a mile and eighth and he got beat. He got third, and Pipeline beat him. We just saw what Pipeline is. I mean, you can't even compare Cody's Wish to Pipeline.
No.
So just, I think that's a good example of, like, it's not the same horse that he was when he tried a mile and eighth the last time. So I really don't see how he gets beat, other than the fact that the mile and eighth he's not the same horse at distance. And I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think the biggest, like last week, we had options. If you didn't want to play Elite Power, you had Gunite. He's awfully good horse, right? If you didn't want to play Forte, you had Saudi Crown. You had Angel of Empire. You even had a little bit of like a Disarm that you could make a case for. Here, it's just like you're banking on, okay, how will he do at a mile and an eighth? If he does okay, well, he'll win. If he doesn't do okay, any of the 5 can win. You don't really have another one that's like a big, like, standout, okay, I can go with this horse. The rest of these 5 have just done too much that just kind of make you go, yeah, they're just not that good. And like if a West Willpower was here, or a Rattle and Roll was here, a horse like that had done a little bit more, kind of established himself a little bit more as a consistent runner, you go, okay, I'll take a shot. And to be clear, if you're a gambler and you're like, I'm not betting 1 to 2, well, take a shot with one of your 5. I'm just here telling you, if Cody's Wish doesn't win, I have no idea which one of these dogs are going to come up and win this race. I mean, it becomes a very wide open race that could go a lot of different ways. I think the easiest path to victory is Cody's Wish gets a mile and an eighth. The breeding says it's going to be no problem. And if he does, I just don't see a lot of challenge from these horses.
Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, I saw, Charge It finished behind, Zandon and White Barrio last summer. Like, here's the thing though. Like, let's just use Zandon as an example. You remember the Bluegrass? Not this Bluegrass. Not this year. Remember that the other year? The
Yes.
year that's the last time he won.
Right.
Literally, that's the last time he won. He has not won a race since. And now I get it that he did outfinish Charge It in that race that you're referring to.
Yeah.
But what has he done to make you think he could win this race?
He's a perfect like second and third.
Exactly.
Horse.
He's an underneath horse. That's why I'm strongly considering like just playing a cold Cody's Wish Zandon Exacted, because it's like, you know what you're going to get from Zandon at least.
I think people are looking at this race specifically about Charge It and saying what Ron kind of mentioned it there too. Look, he showed he has early speed going 2 turns last time out. Maybe he just gets in front and they don't catch him. I think that's what a lot of people kind of think about when they think about trying to pull an upset. Well, this horse has more speed than the favorite, so maybe he'll just get out in front and they'll never catch him. And that does happen sometimes, right? Yeah. Ron, you're right. It does happen sometimes, but it usually doesn't happen in these situations if the favorite fires. That's the deal.
The problem is I don't know that he will get, like, he did show speed, but he also faced, like, if you're going to call these dogs.
Well, that's just it. Yeah.
Like, even though I don't like Giant Game will be ahead of him. He should be.
And that's the other thing. Giant Game should be out there with Charge It. And maybe then maybe you think White Barrio is really going to improve, right? With Dutro second out. And so you could go that way.
Yeah, I've never been a White Barrio. I mean, I can't get there. Like, that's a horse. I mean, well, to be clear, if it's not Cody's Wish, I'm with you. It's 5 other horses that could win this thing because, take your pick, really. I think he can win this race off of class alone is the big thing for me. Do you think, though, if he, like, obviously you win here, you're in the Classic. We know that's the goal. I mean, they're not trying the Whitney to not go, at least have the idea of going to the Classic. I mean, do you need to see the same kind of performance you have been seeing? Like, because for instance, if West Willpower would have been in this race, I think it would at least give you pause to say,
I agree. Yeah.
Wow, like, we know what West Willpower is, at least what he is at this distance. We don't know what Cody's Wish is.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it kind of feels like we know that these other horses aren't that great. So West Willpower's gone. We're losing these older horses, it seems like. So what really does he need to do or prove to kind of give you the security of, like, I think he is a legit Classic, not only Classic contender, but Classic winner?
Yeah. Look, he needs that. It's hard to say because there's a lot of things that could play out. Like for instance, last week, right? If we would have said Forte wins by a nose before the race, you probably would have said, he didn't run very well. But you go back and watch it, it's like he ran his eyeballs out, right? And he's like, you feel good about him. Here, I think it's the same thing. You want to see a good effort. I guess the way I would describe it is whether he wins by a nose or he wins by 3, if he's in the stretch and you can tell he's accelerating with that same kick, then I think you're knowing, hey, he can still do it. If he wins and he was just kind of lackluster, maybe he's flip-flopping leads in the stretch, it's like, you'll know. It's more about not a margin of victory, but just how he kind of finishes up. You just want to see him finish up with a lot of energy, just like he's done. And maybe it's a situation where a horse runs its eyeballs out and they finish 8 ahead of everybody else, but he's only a half length ahead of that second horse.
Right.
You just want to see him run and finish with that same type of energy that he has going a mile. And if you see that, I think you're going to be just fine going into a race like the Classic. If he kind of falters, even if he wins, and it's like, he just wasn't real smooth, this, that, whatever, then you're going to be saying, well, we do have some horses that we know can go or be a little better going longer. He might not be one of them.
I do think that I think there's a strong possibility that I don't know the best way to say this, but like maybe he isn't like a true mile and a quarter horse. Like, I don't know that we'll find out necessarily in this race, but I think there's a decent chance here that we see like a really ultra impressive performance. Mostly because he's that good of a horse, and 2, the rest of the field isn't awesome. And so I think we could see a visually impressive race here from Cody's Wish and still have the question mark of, what is he going a mile and a quarter?
On the surface, I agree. On the surface of this thing, if he shows up with like a Met Mile type effort, you're going to see the same thing, right? Where he just kind of dominates, and you're probably going to leave the track going, we didn't really learn anything about it. I agree.
Yeah. Because even that's the thing. Is even if he wins, you're like, well, we knew Chargett kind of sucked. We knew Zandon can't win.
See, and I think that's where I'm at with it. Even if he wins, now obviously he could win by like 5 or whatever, or under wraps. He could win like Epicenter won the Travers last year, right? Where it's like, oh God, he's just way better, right? And you can be impressed, but this is not, to me, on the surface, this is not an impressive group to have to beat.
No.
Yeah.
No. Ronnie, maybe you just joined us.
He got retired.
He's retired. Like kind of like just like went from he's running in the Whitney to he's retired.
You ever notice all Brad Cox horses always, if they scratch, it's like out of the blue the week of the race?
Yeah.
Like
they hold
First
off
Vision.
Like they hold out hope that this horse can maybe run, and then it's like, no, actually he can't at all.
It's weird.
But yeah, so obviously him being in the race would have changed things drastically. One, he's got speed. Two, he's classy. And so he would have made things a little bit tricky for Cody's Wish, because like kind of what I said earlier, like if Cody's Wish can't get the distance, he will make it work for it.
He popped a couple of big races against better horses than what Chargett beat the last time he ran. So yeah, he would have been the second choice. He probably would have been like 3-1.
Yeah.
In this race. Yeah.
I kind of have a feeling with Chargett, it's like he might get a little bit discouraged this time out versus last time. Like I think he might be trying to get to Giant Game, and then when he can't or whatever, like I'm nervous. Like to me, that the more I look at this race, I'm like, I'm probably gonna I would either play him to win, or I would just not use him if my exact day, anyways. Because I kind of feel like he's either gonna win, and he's kind of shown that in the past in some ways, to where he's kind of shown that, like you look at his last couple before that, the Met Mile, the Oakland Handicap, like when he doesn't show, he kind of just doesn't show. And if he tries to chase Giant Game and he's not really doing it on the front end like he did the last time, I could see him kind of like backing up a little bit down the stretch.
If you go back and watch all his races, if he turns the corner and he's away from other horses, he cruises on home. If he turns the corner and they're kind of around him, he doesn't really.
He's an idiot.
He doesn't seem like he wants to get up there and really, go for a battle, for lack of a better phrase. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't have a lot of confidence that if he's headed, that he's going to hang in there tough for second.
Yeah, he's going to gut it out.
Unless, he gets beat right at the wire, then he doesn't have to hang in for second.
Yeah.
Or if he doesn't get beat at all.
So let me ask you this, and this Ron brings up a good point, this being the highlight race of the day, the main event of the card. You got 2 races after. It's obviously smack dab with these other stakes that are really, really tough. He's going to be, every bit of 2 to 5, 1 to 5, whatever. How do you play this race? And obviously, we'll have our final bets on if the wagering guide or the betting Bible is being worked on as we speak. For the Whitney, exactly what we will be playing live and in person. So stay tuned for that on the website. You can get your hands on that right now. But kind of an idea of how you're kind of thinking about how do you maximize value in this kind of race?
Well, as far as playing it straight, we're going to have to get creative. I think you're going to have to play, if you're playing this race, we're not talking about pick 5 yet, but if you're playing this race specifically and you don't want to bet against Cody's Wish, you're simply just going to have to put him on top and bet it straight over the horse that you like in second, and just bet it straight and realize that's what's going to happen, right? I mean, that's about all you can do. Look, I get Ron's comment on, I wish I did this at race 6, so it'd be out of the late pick 5 sequence. I agree. However, last week I kind of felt the same way, Ron. I was like, I wish these short fields, these stakes fields, maybe they had one in the late and one in the early. Both the favorites, one in those short fields and the pick 5, paid $1,600. So if you can get some prices home around this race, your pick 5's not going to pay nothing. Now, obviously, if big favorites come in with him, it's going to be bad. So hopefully, if you look at these races around him, don't be afraid to play the sequence if you think there's some upsets in other races. Well, and of course, if you think there's an upset here, then all of a sudden it's one of the best sequences to play, right? But even if you think Cody's Wish is going to win this, you don't want to go against him. Just try to get some upsets in those other races. It did pay out pretty well last week with those 2 big favorites. I don't know if it'll do it again, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk about the test and the Saratoga Derby, which obviously kick off the late pick 5. We'll talk about that here coming up on Rapid Fire. Kevin, that's the exact I'm leaning towards. but I don't think we're gonna get 8-1 on that. I would be shocked if we did. I guess it depends on how much money charge it takes, as far as as exacta goes. But I was thinking like if I can get 5-1, it might be a dream.
4 or 5.
But still, like to what he said and what I'm saying is like that to me, because I played around with the idea. It's like, okay, maybe you play a Cody's Wish over Zandon and charge it, but it gets too tight because you're not making enough off. You almost have to press, or maybe you want to play a double into the race prior or into the race the next race. But I think with Cody's Wish, you have to press it. You've got to play it and just press your opinion and hope you're right.
Yeah, and as Doc says, if you think it's going to be a chalky sequence, like you look at the other races, like I don't know how they're beating this horse. Then you play a press ticket. You play your dollar amount, your base dollar amount for $5-10. Obviously, don't use very many horses in all those races, and try to stay that same budget that you play a 50-cent ticket, but play it for $5-10. And that's the other way to do it. If you think Cody's Wish is going to get beat, then stop listening to what all we're saying about the presses and all that, because then you could just play a regular ticket. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you're going to have to press it, or you're going to have to just try to beat favorites in the other legs.
I mean, someone asked it. I think technically Giant Game has the best record at this distance. So he's 100% because he's 1 for 1 at the mile and eighth.
And I saw him win that live and in person.
There you go. Last time out. Last Samurai is 1 for 11 as far as the win. 2 seconds, 2/3. Cody's Wish has got a third in that. He tried to, just like I said, his second race of his career. Wide Barrios got 5 starts, 1 win, 1 second. Of course, one of those was the Florida Derby. Let's see, Charge It, no wins and 2 starts at this distance. And Zandon has got 5 starts, 1 win, again, 3 seconds and a third. So, I mean, that's a horse that's never been off the board at this distance. And that's kind of why I don't think we're going to be the only ones, Kevin, to think of that exacta, and why I'd be shocked if we get anywhere around 8-1.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, I think you have to press, whether it be the pick 5, whether it be the pick 3, whatever it is, press it. It's just one of those days, unless, like, again, this is how my opinion feels. But if you think there's gonna be upsets, obviously, like you said, who cares?
Fire away.
Just throw them out. But if you do, you can't play. You can't even play like a $2. You got to play like a 5, a 10. You got to go like single, 2 single, or whatever you're playing.
Yeah.
And again, like, that's racing. You got to hope your opinion's right. And if it is, who cares if it's chalky? You had it for $20. You had it for $50. Whatever it is.
Yep.
All right. Final thoughts on this race before we move on.
Cody's Wish.
Great thoughts. Great thoughts. I think it's Cody's Wish. I think we're going to see a huge performance here. I don't necessarily think this is going to be close. Number 6, Cody's Wish. It's going to win the Whitney and point towards the Classic. We're not. Are we talking about?
No, just the graded stakes. Is what
the lure. We'll have all our insight on the lure in the betting Bible. Again, you go get that at racingdudes.com. If you have like a general thought or question, definitely hit us, and we'll try to answer that as best we can. But we're still finalizing kind of some of those opinions there. We're going to kick things off with the. There's the lure. So there's if you haven't, I'll bring up the lure for you. If you do have a question there, I'll give you 10 seconds to ask.
Okay, and it's over.
No, we're going to do rapid fire for the graded stakes races, which again are this card. I heard you talking about it with your dad and earlier as well. Like, it's just a tough card. I mean, it's a great. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, as a fan and just being there, like, we're betting, but y'all don't know. Like, we just love a good race, and it's like we're like, I cannot wait to be there. I can't wait to see this. But betting it, putting together the betting Bible, coming up with the strategy, it's like, oh my gosh, it feels like even races like with Caravel, it's like, well, shit. I mean, that's a tough race, and the Saratoga Derby is probably the Saratoga Oaks and Saratoga Derby this year are really good. Tough races. Yeah. The Test, even if you like Primo Mischievous, it's like there's some options in there as well. So it's certainly not a gimme in any of these races. Let's see. Is there a question here? Portfolio Dakota Exacta here.
I won't be playing that, but
I will not be playing that. No, I can say I'm taking a shot against Portfolio Company in this race, but I don't hate. I mean, if you can tell me you can lock in that 7-2, I don't hate it.
tis the bomb.
Tis the bomb. He's in the McPeak range. He's playable here.
I haven't quite decided who I'm gonna put on top in that race. Honestly, I think it's pretty wide open.
It's a tough race. Tough race. I'd say that. Hear that again.
Yep. I've got the top 4, but I haven't ordered that one. I'm gonna have to do that like literally as soon as we get off the air. I'm gonna have to make that final choice.
All right, time for rapid fire presented by the Whitney Stakes 2023 Betting Bible. Go get your hands on that at racingdudes.com on the Racing Dudes premium page. Just click that button at the main menu. It's the 2023 Whitney Stakes, and myself and Halterman will have every single bet, how we're playing the whole day, live and in person. You can, if you're there, bet with us. How we're playing every race on the Whitney Stakes card, 12 races, August 5th at Saratoga. Of course, how we're playing the pick 3s, pick 5s, pick 4 tickets. Daily, we play a lot of daily doubles, exactas, win bets. How we're playing it, we have our ROI included in there, which has been rough lately, the last 2 weeks. But man, hopefully I get back to the Preakness in Belmont. I was crushing it. I mean, it's got to happen eventually, right?
Yeah, hopefully, man. What's frustrating is like day in and day out, we do the Racing Dudes best bets on the best bets page, and it's very similar to what we do in the guides. I mean, oops. Okay. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. Jared just went bye-bye. Hopefully I'm still on with everybody.
No!
So Jared just left us for good.
It's like the StreamYard's like died on my computer.
Yeah, your computer's been on the struggle bus for sure. So
I swear, there's no porn on here.
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm good. So anyway, what were we talking about? What's going on?
Well, we're talking about the Troy, but
The Troy, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Caravel to win the Troy. I think I think No Balls is interesting in the race. I definitely think he's one that will be towards the front, but I think Caravel kind of showed she can set off the pace. So I kind of like Caravel in the spot. So I'm going to go with her on top. Jared is almost back with us. I can see him. Here we come.
woo! I don't know. That's super weird. I literally like StreamYard that's what we used to stream.
Yeah.
Just died on my computer. So I gave Halterman, he borrowed my computer earlier today, and who knows what he did with it. So let me pull up the race here. Hang on.
Okay, yeah, we'll revamp.
This is live on the road. This is what you get. It's not where's Magic when you need it?
He's never anywhere when you
Well, let's be fair. He's not the guy I'd be pointing to for my technical issues.
No. Can we get us? Everybody can everybody hear us now? Is the question. I think so. I think people would be still saying they couldn't.
There we go.
Okay,
We good?
I'm here.
We're good. There's it on the screen. Boom.
Okay,
All right.
there we go.
Like I was saying, don't worry. That'll be edited out of the final version on the podcast version. So if you listen to that, it'll sound perfect, like nothing ever happened.
Yep.
Let's go to race 6 at Saratoga on the undercard here. Troy Stakes, grade 3, 300K for 4-year-olds and up. Again, this is a race that Caravel should win, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. But listen, it's definitely 3 to 5. So yeah, you should win. But you've got No Balls at 7-2. Is that how you pronounce it? No balls?
Yes.
No balls.
No balls. Yep. He's a gelding.
Cogburn at 8-1, the 3 horse. To me, it really comes, in my opinion, it comes down to those 3, and it's whether the interesting part of this race is Caravel, we know, has tons of speed, and No Balls is shown to have a ton of speed. And what are they going to do on the front end here? I tend to think that Caravel has at least showed last time out that she could rate a little bit. Now, not a lot, but just enough to where there isn't going to be this crazy, insane pace meltdown.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think Caravel is maturing with each race, honestly, and I think the last time out really showed it. I've been on the Caravel bandwagon this whole time. I'm not going to jump off because she hasn't given me a reason. You know, you look at who she beat last time out. That Casa Creed is a pretty damn good horse, and No Balls is a good horse too. I think she beat better last time out, so I'm going to go Caravel on top here. Listen, I know it's another 3 to 5 shot. You can say whatever you want about it, but look, I pick who I think's going to win, and I think that's Caravel. I kind of think if No Balls goes crazy, Caravel will just stop the pace and pounce.
Yeah, I mean, she's going for 6 in a row, and obviously, you know, she's faced the best of the best. She's a Breeders' Cup win in there. There's the Grade 1 Jaipur in there. She just wins, and I really, if you look back at, you know, not only just that last race, but you also go way back to the Franklin. I mean, when there is like someone going insane, or maybe the way she broke or whatever, like she's shown that I don't need to be like this crazy pressing thing. Like I have to get to the lead. I have to get to the lead. Whereas if you want to compare the two, it does feel like No Balls is a little bit that. Now, this is a horse that has been back and forth off synthetic and turf for those last couple. It definitely feels like that's a horse that wants to get to the lead no matter what, and is going to, and that's what they're going to do. And so to me, I think if you're, especially drawing outside, they're going to want to get to the lead if you're the 7.
Yep. If
that happens, you just say, okay, like we'll sit right off of you, and I'm classier than you. No balls.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they both don't have balls.
Yeah, how about that? Well, for different reasons.
and Pounce is like, now I do think the wild card of the race is Cogburn. I mentioned that horse a little bit.
Yeah.
Has switched to the turf the last 2 races. It's looked like a different horse, really. Obviously needs to improve, but if this is somewhat of a meltdown, I think this horse could maybe pick up the pieces. Maybe, like, for instance, if Cogburn blazes out, and maybe Cogburn can get, if No Balls blazes out, Cogburn maybe can get up for second. You know, I think that's very likely. I don't know about winning, because I feel like it's going to be one of those 2 speed horses. But give me Caravel. Any questions here?
Caravel.
Huh?
Caravel.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Caravel.
Me too.
Give me Caravel. All right, we're both on Caravel.
Next.
To win here. Let's go to, let's see, race 8, the Test Stakes, Grade 1, where the 500K for fillies 3-year-olds. This is this race 7 furlongs. Race, it might be the race of the day here. 9 to 5 on the 1 horse, Pretty Mischievous. 7 to 2 on Munnings Gold for Todd Pletcher. 2 to 1 on Maple Leaf Mel. You have, Darth Vader's at 6 to 1. Those are all your single digit prices, but you have another situation, like take out Pretty Mischievous for a second. You have another situation similar to that last race where Munnings Gold now cutting back to the 7. Maple Leaf Mel has done literally nothing wrong. They're both going to want to go. Well, Pretty Mischievous has shown that she can sit off of it and pounce. This just feels like, whereas that last race, you had a horse that might be elite speed. I don't know that there's elite speed in those 2, but they're going to set freaking wicked pace. It kind of feels like the 1 is going to be able to pick them up late.
Stock and Pounce, Pretty Mischievous for me, I think, because of the pace setup, is going to be really tough to hold off down the stretch. She's just been really fantastic. But let's face it, back-to-back races, I got that. She was incredible in the Acorn last time out. But anyway, I think she sits right off of it. And I think you're right. 7 and 8 going to set a pretty wicked pace up there. Let's see if the 7 can kind of hold on this time. I don't really think she can, but maybe, she gives it a bit of a fight. The 8 Maple Leaf Mel has been fantastic.
5 for 5.
I kind of feel like the 8 wears down the 7. Here comes the 1. Here's the showdown. I think the 1 will get the best of the 8 because I think the 7 will soften the 8 up just enough. So I'm going 1-8 in here. I like Darth Vader in 3rd, actually. I think that horse at 6 to 1 makes a little bit of sense in this spot. But I think Pretty Mischievous is going to get up there and get him. I'm going to go 1-8-6 here.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, to your point, it's very likely that we see Darth Vader hit the lead and before Pretty Mischievous.
Well, I think the problem is the 1 sets a pretty darn good trip too. And I think the 1 and the 6 will sit pretty similar trips.
The 6 definitely has a pace advantage on the front end, where if those 7 and the 8 do kind of falter. Now, my issue with the 7 is, and this should help anyone that likes her, is I've picked this horse, the last 2 times.
Yeah.
And she's let me down, and now she's cutting back to 7 furlongs. Of course, she did get beat in the 8 bells. Another issue with that was Red Carpet Ready came back and looked awful. The seed is not good right anymore, whatever, or maybe it never was. I just don't like. I don't know what she really is.
It kind of feels like the 7 might.
I think we overrated her from the start, and that's the issue.
She might just be a little bit of cheap speed. She's not cheap speed, but she's not that far away from being that until she proves otherwise. And I think the 7 gets the lead. And I think the 8 tracks her. And then I think after that, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I tend to think, I saw the question here. I do think the 7 is faster on the front end, especially early on. So I do think the 7 will get the lead. I think that 8, you can't underestimate that 8. And I know the horse is, it's a low price, but, being that, I think a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, it's been running, had started off in like, New York bred and, but rattled off 2 wins in open company, including the victory ride last out, and did it pretty nicely. So, I don't think we can underestimate, or I don't think we should underestimate Maple Leaf Mel, because again, she's done nothing wrong. And if this thing, if for whatever reason, Pretty Mischievous doesn't have it or can't quite get there, maybe they just run her off her feet.
Yeah.
And 7 isn't great. Maybe the 8 wins. Could sit off of the 7 and then pounce, and no one can get to her because they've just set up a wicked pace. I mean, that's very likely as well. I
would be surprised if the 7 wins. I would not be at all surprised if the 8 wins. Not at all. I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if the 1 wins. And then, like I said, I like 6 and 3. I think North Vader could pull a little upset there as well. But to me, it does run through the 8 and through the 1.
Again, tough race.
It's tough. And this is going to be a great. This feels like the showdowns last week, where you got good horses, but you got 2 that you really like. And you feel like we may get that showdown again.
And speaking of doozies of races, race 9, the Saratoga Derby. It's a grade 1. We're 600K for 3-year-olds. Again, this is going 1 mile and 3/16 on the turf. And dude, the big thing here, the interesting thing is Aspen Grove, who won the Belmont Oaks, I guess somewhat shockingly, 15-1. They're not running her in the Saratoga Oaks on Friday. They're opting to run against the boys here on Saturday. So yeah, Aspen Grove running here at 12-1 on the morning line. You've got the 2 kind of seemingly leaders in the clubhouse, so to speak, with Farbridge obviously being in the lead over Web Slinger, who some would argue had a bad trip. I don't think you could argue that, but maybe cost the horse the win. Web Slinger last time out. 7-2 on program trading for Chad Brown. Chad Brown, that's an interesting entry here. Past that, it's Mondego for me. It's like that was just like 40-1 last out. I'm not going to sit there and take 5-1 on this horse here.
No.
But I understand that the horse is interesting after the way he ran last time out. Thoughts on this race? Where are you going?
Gosh, I'm kind of between a couple. I haven't made the final decision yet. As of right now, I've got Farbridge on top. I just think he's been too darn good here lately. I think he'll be tough in the spot. Again, there's really no reason to think he shouldn't. When he got beat 2 races back, it was by a Chad Brown horse that was loose on the lead. I think the number 2 program trading is going to get loose, and it makes me a little concerned. I know that I think Farbridge is a little bit better horse than the rest of these, but boy, there looks to be a pace advantage with the 2 program trading. I'm just kind of debating between those 2 horses right now. But right now I do have Farbridge on top, but may try to get him beat in this spot.
Yeah, I'm kind of back and forth with Farbridge. It almost feels like that he has exceeded expectations so much that it's like I don't know that I can rely on him as like the clear. Let's be clear. Like the last 3 races, he won 1 of them for one, and he would never went off the favorite in all those races.
Yeah.
In fact, he's only been on favorite once of his 5 starts. Now you have to play him as a favorite, and I just not sure. I get it. I mean, he's great. I think he's ran really well. I think Web Slinger is interesting if this horse can get a good trip. This is a horse obviously that won the American Turf, won the next time out at Churchill. Belmont Derby gave him a big run, just kind of got there late, and obviously he was like 8 wide versus Far Bridge, who went up the rail. Could have made the difference. We'll maybe find out here, but I think that horse is kind of coming into his own being. That's a legit horse.
Yeah.
I think Web Slinger is a legit horse, and 4-1, I think is a fair price if we can get anywhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm the same way. It's just like, yeah, if you feel like, man, we could maybe try to beat Far Bridge here. So I'm with you. That's an interesting one. Web Slinger is just a tough horse, man. He always shows up and runs pretty well. I kind of like the 8 a little bit as well. Lion of War, I thought was an interesting one coming in from overseas that I might get involved a little bit as well. This is really this is one of the few left where it's like, I got to make a decision here on what to do.
This is definitely one of those races that's like, I just don't. I'll give you gave that one. I'll give you a horse that I'm interested in. I'm not going to say I'm going to pick the horse by any means, but a horse I'm interested in is the 7 Battle of Normandy.
Oh man, this horse has broke my heart a lot.
I know. This is a horse that really had some hype kind of coming into last year, and obviously got second in the with anticipation. The Pilgrim didn't run well. In the Breeders' Cup, ran 5th. Came back and win an allowance race at Keeneland. Finished 2nd. Probably broke your heart that day.
Yeah.
Broke your heart again the next race at Pimlico, going a mile and 1/8. But it just feels like obviously $500,000 horse, City of Light horse. It feels like an aggressive move for Shug to put this horse in the race after 2 races that the horse hasn't won as a 3-year-old. So I thought that was an interesting move. Like maybe a horse that could sneak up there and finish 3rd or 2nd and blow this thing up as far as like underneath. Like to me, that's a horse that if he won, I'd be pretty shocked.
Yeah.
But I do think he could run well enough to finish. He should. I don't think the issue of the distance with him, it has seemed like the horse wants to go longer in the last couple starts, especially. So wouldn't be surprised if this horse finishes 3rd somewhere in that area and kind of juices up if you're exotics. So.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's impossible. Put it that way.
I think he's impossible. Well, I think he's pretty impossible to win. But
no, I don't know. I mean, he did run one of his better races here. So.
But the thing is like if okay, now if you think if it's going to be run basically the same race as the Belmont Derby, well, Far Bridge and Web Slinger probably run 1-2.
True.
But if you think that either they're all going to be overbet, you can't play them, or you think they're that they're going to bounce or whatever, you got options. Like especially when I don't have interest in the one at that price. I agree. Program trading is super interesting. Yeah. This is a hell of a race.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to the best way to max out the value here.
Yep.
Because it definitely feels like one of those races that your horse could run really well, and just you finish like 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a Belmont Derby type feel to it, or Belmont Oaks type feel to it. Where that day it's like, man, had some good horses run there, but just missed.
That's the understatement of the year, Ron. I will not have a single in this race either.
No.
Now, if you can get a single home in this race, tip of the hat. That's great. All right, I've got the number 6 Web Slinger. You're going who?
I'm gonna go with the number. I'll just say it. Number 2 Program Trading for me.
Oh, look
I'm
at
going
you!
2.
He locked it in. It's locked in.
Maybe. Buy the betting Bible. Go see.
85% locked in on the Saratoga.
Make a living over here. Come on.
Oh yeah. All right, that's rapid fire for you.
So I just wanted to tell you, you've now experienced Plattsburgh Internet. Thoughts?
It sucks.
And we go a lot of places. We don't have problem with hotel internet, but up here,
it's so bad. It's computer off. I mean, basically, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got not only am I sitting next to you using the same internet, we literally have the identical computer.
We do.
I mean, by the way, I had 0 issues earlier. It's always on the show.
Yeah.
Do you think who goes off? I mean, it's
Far
Bridge
I
for
do
sure.
think he goes a favorite. Yeah.
He deserving favorite, really.
He deserves it for sure. I mean, he may not, but I would be a little surprised if he's not the favorite.
All right, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingdudes.com for our free picks and, of course, our premium selections. We've got tons of content on the site right now at racingdudes.com, including the Whitney Stakes Betting Bible. Of course, you talked about that earlier, but go ahead and get your hands on that. We'll talk exactly how, because it feels like it might be up in the air still, because it is, because we're still going through it, still combing through it, still, hammering down those decisions. So you want to see our final thoughts and how we're going to play the Whitney, how we're going to play all these undercard stakes races and all the undercard races. Top to bottom. You look at the maiden special weights, the opening up on a maiden special weight on the turf.
There's two
opening up with a maiden special weight on the dirt, which looks like a really nice horse.
Yeah.
It just starts right. And then what's going to happen with the turf? Like, is it going to be soft still? Are they going to be off the turf to start off Saturday, depending on how much rain we get? Who knows?
I actually, for real, love a couple of maidens in those first two races. So we'll see if they run to their looks, I guess, or pedigrees or workouts or whatever. But there are some fun maidens in those first two races.
Just make sure you go to our best bets page as well at racingtudes.com to see the best bets tab to see
this right here.
What we got.
He says, if they take the first race off the turf, I'll be very upset. Love a horse there. So do I.
Yeah. Give us like a teaser. Who is it? Who do you
like? Telling people.
Not you, him.
Oh, Kevin. Yeah.
I don't want to know yours. I know yours.
I tell you what, here's the cool thing about our website. You'll go to the website and look at the free picks on Saturday, and you'll know, because I put them up every day for the last 10 years for every track, every race.
People know. The whole world knows. Because
yeah.
we're the #1 rated site online for free picks.
That's
so
right, yeah.
Go find it. Now, and then after you find the pick, say, I'm going to go see what they have in the betting Bible.
Yeah.
Go do that next. Or go to the best bets page and see who we like, who are best bets.
Or if you're going to be in Saratoga, just give me some cash.
Come meet us. No. Come meet us at a bar and buy us a beer.
Or just give me cash. Either one.
Buy me a beer. He needs the cash. I don't care. We're on Twitter at @Racing_Dudes, Instagram and Facebook. We'll be tweeting. I'm sure I will be tweeting somewhat live at as well as Instagram. You will not. You don't own a Twitter anymore. Or an X, I guess they call that now. Which
is it really X? Is that a thing?
I don't have my phone. But yeah, it's an X. It's weird. You find all episode of Blinkers Off and visit our podcast page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. All the places you listen to podcasts, they are there. The Magic Mike Show did the Saratoga Saturday late pick 5 preview. So make sure you go check out them to get their full analysis of that pick 5 we've been talking about on the show. Go check out the Dudes Who Bet Sports, where they talk about the Whitney. Papa Dude had a very interesting way to describe the rest of the Whitney field. I won't say what he said, but if you know Papa Dude, you want to tune in to see what he said. I was sitting by him. I was doing everything I could to keep from laughing because I was laughing, but I was keeping it low because I was like, dude, we're gonna get us canceled over here.
We were talking earlier today. We had a lot to do. The betting Bible, we're still working on. We got a chunk of it done. Like we're just making final decisions. So we had to do the betting Bible. We had to do this show. And Papa was like, I just don't see how we're going to do our show today. And I said, we can't not do the show because we need that weekly soundbite from you that people love. Like last week, I love Steve Asmussen. I love Gunite, but he's going to get his ass kicked today by Elite Power. That was last week. This week, he did describe, where are you going? Like, he's running away. This week, he did describe the other 5 horses in the Whitney with a certain word.
He said it a couple times.
A few times, because I think he's the type when people laugh at it, he's going to use it again.
Yeah, and he let's look at the so I was giving a weather forecast. Okay. I'm gonna give an actual. It is raining in Saratoga here, not here. It's currently in Plattsburgh, but it is raining. And tomorrow tonight it says thunderstorms may contain locally heavy rain.
Sure.
And then tomorrow 70% chance thunderstorms. Potential for severe weather.
My prediction is every race is off the turf but the stakes for tomorrow. And then I would say, Kevin, honestly, probably the first couple are going to be off the turf Saturday. If that forecast is accurate.
Based off of what they're showing, it's got rain really all day. And that starts with like 7 a.m. So.
I do love a horse that's for off the turf in that race as well, but the price is going to be dick compared to the one on the turf. So. And by the way, I just gave a hint for what my dad called the other 5 horses in the race in the Whitney. So
find out later.
That's right.
Just go listen right after this. What else we got? I was gonna ask you about something, but I don't remember what it was now. We'll be there tomorrow. So again, if it is raining, we'll just be underneath the cover of the paddock bar, and who cares, right?
I don't care if it rains or not. I care for the turf races, but as far as just my being, I don't care.
You retract it because that's now two big days in a row that you've been that it's rained.
Yep, it did pour. The last time I was up there, that Jim Dandy day was the last day I was there, and it poured. But you know what? I had a really good time. So.
Oh, I know. I was going to ask you, and we'll play this game real quick, and then we'll be done.
Ooh, okay.
It's a game.
Games. I like games.
And again, I could give you a better number, but I haven't got. I mean, if I could just go through and comb through it, but just off the top of my head, over under. It's 12 races on the card.
Okay. Yes.
Over under
12 races on the card. I will go a draw, not over or under 12. I think there's 12.
Let me finish.
Oh, okay.
12 races on the card. Over under 5.5 favorites. Not like post time favorites. 5.5 on the card win.
Are we assuming it's on the turf?
Assuming on Saturday. Assuming everything's
like it is right now.
Yep. 5.5. So you got Cody's Wish is 1. Caravel is probably 2. I mean, these are horses that you think are going to win.
I like Pretty Mischievous.
You got maybe one of those maidens that you like. Maybe
like a maid.
One of them's not a favorite though, so.
I think it will go under by a half.
Kevin says over. He seems like confident.
You remember like Jim Dandy Day, there's some favorites I kind of liked, and none of them were winning except for the stakes, the 2 big stakes.
It feels like it. I think it's.
And here's the deal: you look at paper, you look at a maiden, it's like I love this maiden. There's no way this maiden's losing. It's still they could lose. It's up here. It's really tough to win. They may not be as good as we think if they get beat, and so you're counting one there, and then a Lucas beat you, right? Like the big favorite on Jim Dandy Day, the 4. I can't remember the name of the horse.
Yeah, the maiden.
Donna something. Anyway, couldn't lose horse. Everybody says he's going to win, and Lucas wins at like 16, 18 to 1. So that happens.
I'm gonna go under.
I don't like the favorite in the first race either, Kevin. Not one bit.
I think it's 5. Did you say 5?
I said 5. Yeah,
I think it's there.
I think 5 favorites.
But I think if you said favorite or second choice, it's over easily. I mean, I think it could be because say Money's Gold wins or something, and that was second choice. And
I'll say this on the first race talk. If the race comes off the turf, maybe the horse I like could handle the offgoing as well. I'll give you a hint. The breeding could be okay for the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he just didn't give you a hint. I think he just told you.
Well, I mean, you never know.
Drilling for Gold.
No, not the 6.
No, that's who he likes.
Not the 6. Oh, that's who Kevin likes. Okay. Well, that's not the one I like.
Let's just say.
I don't hate that horse, but that's not the one I'm talking about.
Let's just say for argument's sake, let's say the rain is terrible and the track is still not great Saturday. Is like dirt even. I mean, are you concerned with Cody's Wish on an off track? I don't think it's likely, but I'm just saying.
No, I don't know. I don't really know. I think I wouldn't adjust the dirt races much. I don't think.
To me, unless we get rain Saturday or something.
If you think if the track's off, which listen, at Saratoga, the track could be off any day. It doesn't have to have a great forecast or a rain in the forecast. If you think the track's going to be off, I think Cody's Wish will be fine.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned.
Yeah.
Not going to lose sleep about it.
Right? No.
All right.
I have never lost sleep over rain. Don't ever lose sleep over rain.
I have.
I haven't. Ever.
Yeah. I stressed out about the rain.
Yeah, don't ever do that to yourself.
Well, I used to. I don't anymore.
Because there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Nothing you can do.
You don't care about your yard, though. I worry about my yard.
Your yard? What the hell are you talking about?
Because, like,
I'm talking about in racing.
If it's getting rain, I thought you just meant in general. I thought you just meant weather in general.
Well, I don't care about that either.
I know you don't.
That's not what I was talking about.
Well, okay. Anyways, final thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to be a big weekend. Everybody that's going to be at the track will be there as well. Hopefully Saturday's a beautiful day. Everybody can mingle. That'd be great. It's going to be fun, man. These are the weekends, right? Last weekend was great. This weekend's great. I think it's gonna be fun.
I mean, look, you look at the Whitney over the last several years. It's one of the races of the year, every year, and and not only that, you get major players coming into it and out of it after the fact. And I really don't think this year is much different. I think we have a real solid chance of he's already there, but solidifying, especially with the loss of West Willpower and kind of the seemingly unknown of these older horses. Like, he can really solidify himself as the horse of the Classic. That is Cody's Wish if he wins on Saturday. So yeah, we'll be there live Friday and Saturday. If you're going to be there, make sure you do nothing but hit us up.
That's right.
For anything else, you say, hey, where are the dudes?
Bring me a lot of cash.
He wants money, I want beer.
Yep.
All right, guys, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck in the Whitney.